No more time. Here is champion select, and we'll see how the bans are going to change and where the priorities are going to go, with a lot of very high priority champions taking some big hits in 9.2.
But not Lucian and Cassiopeia.
Yeah, not so much. And Lucian not at all, which is just ridiculous, as Camille's going to be banned away from On Fleek. Very understandable. You'd either have to pick it away or ban it away, it feels like, if you're going up against SANDBOX.
So the big Camille nerf is on PB. 9.3, no longer stunning cams. I think that does trash a lot of what makes jungle Camille strong. So that's still a later thing, and On Fleek, like you say, is by no comparison the best Camille jungle we have in the LCK. Kai'Sa will be banned against DAMWON. Notice no Rakan ban after Rakan was heavily nerfed on patch 9.2, which is live for today. Aatrox at a slight nerf, still going to be first picked for DAMWON Gaming. Irrigot, again, a slight nerf, will be picked as well.
Yes, and we'll see whether Rakan still comes up, but Galio, no worries there. Dove going to pick that one up, certainly does like the champion, but now doing much less damage on that Winds of War, and I believe this is hotfix 9.2 as well, so that Justice Punch has been tuned back up again just a tad.
Basically, it was a Q and E double nerf into just a heavy Q nerf, seems to be what's live for today. That's the way we'll be talking about it anyway. I don't mind Urgot and Galio taken. Yes, the Galio power level is down, but a lot of what SANDBOX have been defined by is very smart early game rotations to get full value out of Rift Herald charges and just gold plating. They're so good at taking down gold plates and playing around a skirmish advantage in the jungle that taking reliable solo laners is a pretty good way to go. I think we will still see Aurelia from time to time, especially in the mid lane, against squishy control mages. Say, for example, Aurelia versus Zoe. I think Aurelia is still super strong because you still have very high base damage on taking things down. But some of the matchups where Disarm allowed her to win have been removed. And again, she gets further nerfs on patch 9.3. Rai is going to be preferred for the side of DAMWON Gaming. So still going to be going for something they play well. Not going to flex to the bot lane with the Ezreal lock-in. We may be seeing Ghost on his trusty Victor bot lane after all.
Yeah, we could certainly be seeing that. That being said, Joker is one of our players that does like to play a bit of that Galio support. And now maybe with a little bit of damage gone, you just want to have that utility in there and put him on the bottom side of the map. Feels like it'd actually work out relatively well as a bot lane pick now.
I'm taking the tact of not talking about it because, as you know, I'm a big hater of the current patch support Galio. After they remove the percentage damage reduction on Ultimate, I think you just have to be building AP to make the champion work. But you're right, we have to mention it because SANDBOX are the only team to rock it. Speaking of rocking it, we have two DAMWON champions, which are usually red side last picks, actually banned away on the red side by SANDBOX. The Vladimir power level, even in solo queue in Korea, almost permaban status on the Vladimir, so no big surprise that it's taken away. And Jax, one of those champions who's largely escaped any heavy nerfs, going to be banned away. So that's 3 potential top laners and an on-fleek jungle special banned away in the second round.
Yeah, of course, the Leap Strike, a little bit less damage and base attack. It was lowered on the Jax, but otherwise nothing to write home about. On Fleek continuing along the trend of having some more damage in the jungle. The Lee Sin is going to be the final lock-in here, and his Lee Sin looked good the last time we saw it on the Rift.
First jungle lock-in. Okay, Aatrox may be a flex, but first jungle confirmed lock-in so far on 9.2. And it's a champion that's okay at level 2, but will get to level 6 slower because of all the experience nerfs. So let's just watch down. I want you, Atlas, to keep that pen. You're left-handed, just to give that information out there. And note down level 6 timings for some of these junglers, especially ones that don't get snowballed, because level 6s in general should be coming a little bit later. Lee Sin can often fall into power farm to level 6 territory, and while the gold is there, the experience is not. To guarantee a decent timing, Kha'Zix's going to be the confirmed jungler on the side of DAMWON, so Canny going to stick with his most played. And Hoyt blind picks support, and will go the way of the Alistar, with quite a few supports available.
Yeah, Alistar and Ezreal locked in for the bottom lane here for DAMWON Gaming, meaning that we're going to have the Ryze and Aatrox somewhere in a solo lane, as there's the LeBlanc.
Oh, no.
Yep, and look, this is why I had to talk about it, Pop Smithy, because it's 9.2, and his damage is less, so let's put the Galio in the support position. I can understand old man Joker's mindset. I can feel it.
But I just, look,
I know you are so tilted right now.
I just can't replace Shen with Galio. I can't abide by it, Atlas.
I know.
Galio had a lot of Q nerfs, and the only other thing he could do than all in lane was to help push, and even that's worse now.
Yes.
So really not a big fan of it, but it is something that SANDBOX likes to do. And the one thing it does do does play into our scouting report based on week 1 of SANDBOX, which is really flexible. Darius in any lane, Galio in any lane. They rely on the flex push nature, and because it's Alistair, a support champion that really only all-ins, maybe you can baby a support Galio through the laning phase and get away with it.
And also you can put the hero's entrance down basically wherever you want. Mimic Distortion will allow for that positioning to be very, very flexible. Not to mention Lee Sin getting around as well. We're going to start by having a look at the roster that's been put together by DAMWON. Still, if you're looking at 9.1, these are some power picks in the majority of the roles, but we'll see whether Kha'Zix is going to have more trouble getting to that level 6 mark, getting that first evolution down. See whether Aatrox has been hit enough to keep him down.
And it does feel like the first set on a new patch where there hasn't been a lot of time off and people largely playing the same stuff, but a lot of this stuff is a bit worn, a little bit battle-ridden in the first couple of weeks. So let's see the effectiveness of some of the picks that were an afterthought in week number 1 and 2.
Yep, exactly right. And here we are onto the riff for game number 1 of week 3, LCK 2019. Well, according to my ears, we are on the DAMWON side of the stadium, Papa Smithy, because that was deafening. DAMWON really picking up a lot of fans so far at the beginning of this LCK split.
And again, guys, go back to the VODs for Kesper Cup, which was what, now a month and a half ago?
Yeah, something like that.
And just listen to the decibel changes. It's no sleight of hand by us. Really, you can see a team who was struggling to get any fan chance going, now having a bit of synergy there, now having a bit of gusto, and that's after a 0-2 week. DAMWON had, of course, the very tricky task of facing Griffin and SKT in week 2 of the LCK. Only got a single game win between those 2 sets. Griffin will play SKT in our first set tomorrow, but zooming into today, definitely the match of the day in SANDBOX versus DAMWON, and a match where, based on match score, you're very confident that SANDBOX should look good. But I'm not ready to count out DAMWON Gaming, although with this draft, a lot has stayed the same except for some keystones. Nuguri has the grasp on the Aatrox, and Showmaker goes back to the Aftershock, so defense tree in both solo lanes.
Well, Hoyt going to get a bit of a cute auto headbutt combo there onto Joker, and Joker is not going to mind about it too much. Decent trade back, as Dove's taken already a fair bit of damage here in the mid lane. Excited to see whether this Grasp of the Undying Aatrox is going to help him out as far as how he's been touched in the patch 9.2 run, but was basically the Umbral Dash nerf as far as cooldown, and then a bit of scaling rather than the base damages on the Q.
It's a really small nerf. It's about 5% scaling nerf, so I think of it as like a 0.05 AP ratio kind of nerf. Maybe a 0.1 AP ratio. Obviously, he's an AD champion, but what I mean is that's a small number, so it's not going to be the biggest change overall in his play patterns or indeed in his burst ranges. And the 10 mana nerf on Urgot is annoying. Doesn't always build a lot of mana items in the early game, wants to mainline a Black Cleaver. So again, very small touches, but it's the sort of nerfs that should bring a champion's overall win rate down in solo queue 1%, right? It's one of those very small nerfs, but in competitive play, it can be different. As Onfleek gives up his red, he's going on Canyon.
Yeah, Q's going to land. Is going to get the smite off, so the execute damage not going to do a whole lot there, but still gets the flash because his bottom lane rotates first.
And also because it's QW in the scaling here in terms of abilities taken, no jump available to the Kha'Zix. Very interesting path. If you look at the minimap, it was Wolves start solo with a W start into the Raptors. And you sometimes see a Raptor start Kha'Zix once in a while into bot side scuttle. Onfleek seemed ahead of it and was willing to give up his blue releashing to both get a summoner out of it, the enemy jungler, but also, more importantly, just stay ahead and keep up that Rift Herald. You need every piece of experience early you can get.
Well, we're going to have a look at the Keystone choice here for Showmaker and show you the other runes as well. You can see, of course, Mana Flow Band and Transcendence both taken, but gets to take Demolish here on the rise and can start getting to these turret plates a little bit earlier if he can keep the harass up on LeBlanc in lane. Was, of course, just taking the Electrocute as per usual. On the LeBlanc, Onfleek back down towards the bottom side of the map.
Level 3 with that Scuttle Crab, and Joker also walking out.
Yeah, does get the Justice Punch there, but good headbutt to avoid getting hit.
So have to get a defensive flash away there. The Lee Sin had already revealed himself. The damage burst about 400 from a Lee Sin with red buffs, so wanted to be respectful there. Doesn't feel good because it's still a successful gank overall. on the side of SANDBOX. Another good moment, and all Kazakhs can do is actually pick up one of the first spawn Rift Scuttles. Feels good for the Kazakhs, but those damage nerfs to experience, and if you look at it, I tried to do the math, and it's overall about a 20 to 32% nerf on jungle experience scaling, and it's also every second level that the experience on the jungle camp scales. That's a big number. That is something very relevant, and it just means that some of your breakpoints, just the time at which a jungler hits level 6 relative to a mid laner, there were times where it's around the same time, there was times where you were 1 level down. It's very possible in the mid game to be 3 levels down on the enemy jungle without stuffing up, and that lets you know that things are very different about how the play patterns might be, and also what the jungle meta might be, as you might have to move away from a level champions who scale on levels very strongly in the early game, say skirmishing jungles that want to be around the same level, that want 3 points in your hookshot, for example, the Camille, and towards tanks who just kind of need a Cinderhulk to be all right. There is that very real chance that the agreement by a week into patch 9.2 might be to remove some of these skirmishing junglers from the current meta.
Yeah, which is why that Ivern seems to be something that's very popular with a lot of people talking about it on Twitter at the moment.
We do hate Ivern in Korea. We've never had an Ivern meta.
I hate Ivern just in general, so
and that's
I'm
fair.
happy with it.
Well, then you agree with the Korean opinion, even when other regions were playing the Ivern. I think of the most famous Korean Ivern player, and it's Trick over in G2 when he was over in Europe. We just had no Ivern here because of his inability to skirmish, but maybe skirmishing takes a back seat with so many experienced nerfs. We're not to know. We're still learning in accordance with you, Twitch chat. It's a bit of a learning day here. Patch 9.2, no data points. We'll learn about it as Canyon slowly inches his way towards level 6.
Yeah, he's just slinking down towards the bottom side of the map here as Ghost and Joker might be under fire. No flashes have been taken down just yet, but Control Ward should be removed here by the Kazakhs. Out of the way of the Winds of War there, as that Justice Punch was an odd one there from Joker.
Doesn't go over the wall, mate.
Yeah, that's not how that one works.
No harm, no foul on that one, though. Joker, he'll get away with that one. Was a big fan of his Shen pick. Again, so weird to see support Shen after no one would dare pick it, but as it came together in the match they won, it was very impressively piloted. And then Tucson said, yes, I have a reason to play this.
I can get an MVP again. Woohoo!
It's always like that, though, when someone actually has the spheres to lock in one of those old favorites. All the old mains can return to it. I must admit, during my time off, got to watch some LPL top lane Riven pop off, and I would love to see Smeb jump back onto the Riven.
We do have a lot of
some Riven play in general.
We have a lot of carry top laners that certainly would want any opportunity to get back on that champion. Not this game, though. We've got the standard Aatrox and the Urgot in game 1
but we're getting
of week 3.
We're also getting the standard SANDBOX game. And only really now, 5th set that they've played in the LCK, can we understand what that means. What I've been most impressed by, both by watching them up close and getting a chance to watch one of their matches at home and pay a bit more attention to some of the intangibles of this team, is really smart at playing the current meta. And you might say, okay, well, what is the current meta? Is it flex picks? Is it something else? It's getting the most gold in the first 14 minutes of the game. It's min-maxing all the extra gold in the game. Because with experience going down, junglers can't get experience and gold, but they can still get mountains of gold. They're really smart about getting the most scuttles in the game, or getting so many turret plates in the game, about always taking Rift Herald around 10 to 12 minutes. And that gold serves them up, where in the mid-game, they're kind of bloodlessly 4,000 gold ahead, and you can stuff up on some macro. You can run at Baron too many times and still have that gold buffer that your smart first 15 minutes or so provided you. So even little things like on Fleek knowing the pathing of Canyon and blowing the flash of the enemy Kazakhs early relieved a lot of pressure and allowed them to stack the deck when it came to early gold. It's not being seen right now, but that is, to me, the biggest standby of SANDBOX Gaming in the first 2 weeks, is getting that early gold.
Yeah, and also, you know, SANDBOX, we talk about the fact that their Barons have been very interesting, not necessarily super intelligent, but they have been making the plays as aggressively as they possibly can.
They're doing things, Atlas. They're not just being scaled on. They're being proactive in a meta that's defined by proactivity like this.
Yeah, there's the flash kick. Showmaker still gets tagged by the Q. The chains are going to land, and the Rise, Aftershock or no, is going to go down on Fleek with another first blood.
Engage range is just so insane when it's Lee Sin and LeBlanc. Galio kind of has to slowly watch on and almost KS's with the Q. Just wanted an involvement there, some experience. Gets level 6 from that one, which is relevant. Nice play there, and one of the reasons that LeBlanc is one of the mid-lane only champions we still have in the meta is because any of that CC hits, any of the engage opens up on your opponent, the chains come down, and the death is pretty inevitable.
Yep, and Showmaker, of course, had a lot of control in that lane earlier on, but now LeBlanc picking up that assist very early on, able to stay in that lane, pushes forward, gets a turret plate. This is exactly what SANDBOX want to be able to do, as Canyon's going to jump forward, looking for on-flick, misses the W though, as Joker looking for the flash, and the respect flash immediately comes out from Canyon.
And that's something support Galio can do, get respect flashes pretty wantonly, just with the threat, and doesn't need Cask available to make it happen like a Gragas. Watch the replay here. Consider that Showmaker's on the left side of the lane and still dies because Lee Sin has safeguard flash kick. And there's no escape there the moment the chain comes down. Lee Sin and the LeBlanc isn't quite Lee Sin Yasuo in terms of synergy, but you understand why the pairing works oh so well. Very nicely played there. Again, some very nice aggressive League of Legends coming. And speaking of aggressive League of Legends.
Yep, Realm Warp going to come in. Rune Prison is going to lock down Summit for the moment. He's very close to his turret though, and I don't think they've got the damage. Showmaker slowed down. But not going to take an extra turret shot. Now Nuggery's looking for this turret plate. Gets it with the Demolish proc.
If the Summoner was down there, the flash down on Summit, I think you try the turret dive, but it just wasn't realistically going to happen in spite of Nuggery's ultimate being available. Just so crisp. SANDBOX's execution compared to what was available there, and just the safety provided by Urgot LeBlanc. Urgot LeBlanc solo lanes, it didn't end up being the Galio like we first thought of, but even if it was Galio, very safe defensively. And SANDBOX read the map, they communicate well. When they make their play, they're crisp, and on the defense, they have the ability to dodge ganks in the kit provided to the Urgot.
Yeah, and if we have a look at these team compositions and how they fare throughout this game as well, I feel like DAMWON aren't too worried about First Blood going down there in the mid lane, because I feel like they're happy to try and scale this one as quickly as they can. They've got 3 tiers that are going to be stacking over 2 of their champions, wanting to make sure that they can get in good positions. And once that Abyssal Mask, I assume, that Showmaker is building is completed, it's going to be so incredibly valuable against the LeBlanc and the Victor.
Not sure if you can, well, I guess because it's Victor, you can do it. Again, Abyssal Mask does provide a decent amount of health, so you're probably right. It probably will eventually be an Abyssal Mask. To me, the tipping point for this game is not just, okay, your tier items are transformed, but actually, when can Ryze handle LeBlanc in a side lane? Because it actually takes a while. It takes 2-3 item completions to be there, to actually be able to out-trade the LeBlanc and not just be free food to a LeBlanc who just goes for damage and has that extra oomph in the early game. When that happens, I think the side lane assignments should be more flexible than what SANDBOX has, but in the mid game, SANDBOX have a lot of pick and a lot of mobility to get that pick to happen. It's only when the side lanes come together that I think the team fight also will force SANDBOX into maybe a small lose-lose situation.
Yeah, DAMWON should be able to play out the 1-3-1 a little bit more cleanly than what SANDBOX have been able to do.
Eventually. For now,
yes.
I like SANDBOX in the 1-3-1. I think also they have the superior 1-item power spike, so because of that, DAMWON just need to fly the white flag, but as low as possible. You don't want to be conspicuous about it. You don't want to give away too many free objectives to the side of SANDBOX.
Yeah, if you're going to fly the flag, then fly it in your backyard, not in your front yard. Something like that. Make sure you keep it a little bit.
Did you ever have a flag in your backyard growing up? No, I mean, Australians do have it. Doesn't feel like it's as much of a trope as with Americans.
We're just not really all about the nationalism.
You say that, but we kind of are.
On your birthday, we are.
Australia Day, the 26th of January. I was watching at home, in case you guys were wondering. Had a great birthday. There was a little bit of drinking after the broadcast. You were there, Atlas. Can you agree? Is a little bit the correct adjective?
That's not what I'd say in my professional
Give me your
opinion.
word.
I would say indulgent would be my word.
Indignant?
No.
Indicative?
It was indicative of a birthday. Exactly what it was.
A birthday of my country.
Exactly.
How can I not salute my country without a beverage or 2?
That's true. We would not be Australian if that was the case.
Can't speak about the subsequent beverages. Well, let's talk about the subsequent ganks here, because recreating this mid lane gank, even with the chain, isn't going to happen yet. And we still haven't seen our first hero's entrance come 13 minutes.
Yeah, but OnFlick's going to see a lot of damage taken here. The Q wants to come down. That hero's entrance you were talking about is going to attempt to save OnFlick, and now they're thinking about the return. It's Hoyt taking a lot of damage, but does have that ultimate running. True shot barrage over a couple of members, but SANDBOX are able to make it to relative safety.
Long cooldown used, and no value from the defensive ultimate there, so nice to bait that one out. And when hero's entrance is down, you're a flash taunt and nothing else as a Galio, especially with the Winds of War nerf on this patch, so approach here has to be careful. DAMWON have priority topside. Will SANDBOX try to brute force to contest on the 14-minute Rift Herald?
Well, complete vision is available here for SANDBOX Gaming as they're thinking about taking this one as a leash. OnFleet gets all of his health back, teleport to bring 5 members up towards Shelly. She is a very popular lady, and it feels like both of these junglers are going to have an opportunity to try and steal as there's the Justice Punch. And see you later, Nuclear. That was a very weird teleport. Canyon's going to pay for it as well as Nuggery has to Umbral Dash to get over that wall and back underneath his turret.
First whoopsie of patch 9.2 goes the way of Nuclear. Just gives it up for free. You have to respect the engage there, and it's just a aggressive teleport. This is, of course, more likely to be seen from AD carries than other roles that are more used to using the teleport, but teleport changes were a patch ago. Feels like a bit of old news, and SANDBOX Gaming, they're going to inflict a much bigger punishment than just a kill. They're going to take down the mid lane outer turret basically for free.
Yep, able to take so much from that one. That being said, Shelly did go over to Canyon, so theoretically they will have an opportunity to get a little bit back. Didn't actually see when he was able to pick that one up, but thankfully for DAMWON, it wasn't a complete loss on every single side.
Gonna watch the replay here again. Very, very simple to understand. They get the Rift Herald, like you say, so they get out with something. But just a bit of a brain fade, I would say, coming through from Nuclear. As picture-in-picture, the LeBlanc's doing some damage.
Yep, Nuclear is going to go down yet again. And Dove, this is exactly the snowball that SANDBOX wanted. We mentioned things like, when can the Rise stand in a side lane against the LeBlanc? Well, she's 1-0-3 against 0-1-0. It's going to take him a hell of a lot longer based on this early game.
And that's the Rise. The Ezreal isn't going to be building any relevant magic resist. And I didn't actually see the start to understand how LeBlanc got even within distortion range, but sometimes things like that can happen when the lanes are broken a bit. We just had a skirmish, so lane assignments on his Vic. Speaking of lane assignments.
Oh, here we go, Dove looking for another one. The flash to try and get Showmaker out of there as he's turning it. The ultimate's running here from Canyon. The first explosion of damage down on the Lee Sin as Distortion gets Dove out a little bit further. Mimic still available, but not going to go back in 1v2. And
Canyon with the R Evolve able to close the distance and make something happen, and needed to. This game was snowballing away from the control of DAMWON Gaming. First good moment in the game. Be able to punish OnFleek, opening up with Burst. Didn't see where the chain went, but clearly wasn't enough to matter there. Let's watch the replay to understand, and this is just Dove and 2 control wards, and Nuclear saying, oh, a minion wave. It's farming time. It was not. Sorry. It's actually dinner time, and, well, that means he's not going to be farming for a while. Free kill goes the way of SANDBOX, and that is a big VOD review moment for Coach Kim Jung-soo, the coach of DAMWON Gaming, just to go through what happens after a skirmish, because that was Nuclear not thinking, and the sort of resting mechanics you can't allow to happen. But that's so easy to punish for the LeBlanc.
Yeah, just mindlessly going back down towards the bottom side of the map and then getting punished for it in the end. Losing OnFleek, certainly going to get DAMWON something back, but 1-4 is the kill score now. 2,000 gold, approximately the lead for SANDBOX Gaming, and based on what we've seen in the LCK so far, this is what we should expect moving into this series, but can they hold on and keep this lead building?
The answer to your question, effectively, rather than just allusion to 20 minutes from now. If we're talking about now, the answer is hell yes. And the reason why I say that is we got a Rod of Ages slowly stacking up. No adaptive helm in the mid lane. There's no magic resist anywhere. So Victor and LeBlanc alone probably can 1v1 most champions, but if you get pick damage from both, half a rotation will kill someone. So DAMWON Gaming further playing into will be fine later, and that really opens up the game to be 1 pre-30 from SANDBOX. So right now I think DAMWON are kind of dulling their own blades a little bit and playing into SANDBOX's current strength. I mean, that's a very bold choice, but it's one where SANDBOX should look at the inventories. If you press tab as SANDBOX, you should be a bit annoyed, and from that, focus on getting those control wards down and forcing fights thick and fast early, because you're set up to win them.
Yeah, it certainly is a little bit disrespectful for Showmaker to go for that Rod of Ages. Personally think that this was a game where the Abyssal Mask would be a great choice on the Rise. Not going to be the case, though, as Ghost is now set up shop here in the mid lane. Just trying to hold on to these waves as they fly towards him. True Shot Barrage is not necessarily the best option, as Shelly does start off here in the mid lane, but she's actually going to take a lot of damage before getting this charge off, if she even gets it as Dove. Double distorts forward,
can't really walk up and get a safe Rift Herald charge against this team with all the snowballing that's happening, so they're just going to lose the Rift Herald for free.
Yeah, absolutely nothing that they can do about it. It's now a fight breaking out in the river. OnFleek taking a lot of damage there as the Chaos Storm does fly down, and Joker, once again, with the defensive hero's entrance.
It's a defensive entrance, but you notice, OnFleek still has to flash, there's no damage reduction, so even then, isn't able to get any value there, so a long cooldown wasted a second time, but they got the Rift Herald. If you just say, okay, it's OnFleek's flash for enemy Rift Herald, not even getting a base damage charge, it's still a win for the side of SANDBOX.
Oh, certainly is. They're still full health, basically, on a lot of these turrets. Top lane outer did lose one plate, but otherwise, everything feeling like it's shipshape on the side of SANDBOX. Perfect hex score done here for Ghost. Lost chapter building up. See whether we see as many Oblivion Orbs now after the nerf as well in patch 9.2. Of course, a Showmaker special, but he's on the rise this time, not necessarily a champion that does like to build all that many Oblivion Orbs.
I did a bit of research. Gold efficiency is definitely pretty far down. I think it's 88% now. Obviously, it was around 95, and
yeah.
Magic Pen is a stat that we've been conditioned to demand if you're playing mages, because it just becomes such a very cookie-cutter build of Ludens into the Oblivion Orb. Part of that was power level, part of that is just flat penetration against the lack of proliferation on magic resist. But remember, you get 8 MR as a base stat now, so you feel really good about that. It means that double Magic Pen doesn't put you into the same damage ranges as if you're getting close to true damage, you're really just being able to load on the damage, but the further away, you're getting more value out of that magic resist. So given all that, again, because it's day one, I think still plenty of Oblivion Orbs, but over time, the tendencies will change.
Yeah, may get phased out. Dove, of course, is on the hype train that you were referring to. Picks up the double Magic Pen as well as the Luden's Echo to try and blow up these squishies as effectively as possible. And we saw it worked on Nuclear on the bottom side of the map. Still not a lot of MR being put together, but there's the Hex Trinket done for Canyon. If we have a look at items, 2 items finished for Nuclear, 2 items finished for Nogari as well. But on the other side of the map, Luden's and Perfect Hex Core done. Summit's got everything that he wants. There is just a lot of power on this SANDBOX roster.
But this is the price you pay. SANDBOX, the only bad thing is they wish this was an Infernal, but they know that because it's double Ludens, double early power, it's not contestable to go near an objective that you don't have early vision on. There is that Infernal at 26 minutes. To me, that's where the rubber hits the road for this game. It's another fight where the items just won't be scaled yet for DAMWON. They'll be close to full stack Rod of Ages, so that will be there, but there won't be 3-item builds yet on champions like Rise. It's still a time where SANDBOX should be ripe to blow open the game, but if DAMWON Gaming can steal an Infernal at a time where SANDBOX's draw should still be in the ascendancy, maybe there is light at the end of the tunnel for DAMWON Gaming.
Exactly. 4.5 minutes on that Dragon before that one comes up. Smart of SANDBOX to cycle the ocean as quickly as they possibly could. Ghost going to turn up to the top side of the map and just clear things out as the victor. Very, very comfortable just nullifying that bottom lane on this champion.
I think the easiest way to explain this is that, you know, when you buy the line skipping at Disneyland or something like that, where you are able to just go apart. That's what SANDBOX have. They have the first access to everything because their items are better early and the enemy can't afford to fight there. But if you don't show up and the queue is already there, you don't get the same value. So what's happened here very clearly is they've got the inside track to everything to SANDBOX, but they need to get that. They need to get there early and claim it. Otherwise, there's still a real chance that DAMWON Gaming, in a very low kill game, if it stays 1-4 in 10 minutes time, there's a real chance DAMWON wins.
Yeah, there certainly is a clock on this one for DAMWON, but it's a decent time for SANDBOX so far as Dove's going to move on over. World Ender very early from Nogari as he's trying to stick underneath this turret. He's going to be able to use it, avoids dying to the ultimate, but the repositioning is going to be good from Summit, and the dive should be easy. Elementary, my dear Watson, as SANDBOX Gaming take him down under the turret, and now look to destroy that as well.
And DAMWON Gaming try to play 3 lanes. Nogari is known to do this. He does push up very far with no vision at all, whether he's in a solo lane on a Vladimir or in a situation like this, trying to engage Hoyt and Canyon.
Yep, knockup's being traded left, right, and center as Showmaker Realm Warps his way forward, but it's just the walk-back strategy
Ghost
utilized, and now Ghost is looking for this one, not going to get the displacement on the gravity field. And DAMWON Gaming are going to get themselves out. But you can see how desperate they are to try and get any sort of momentum back in this game.
And they have to be so far ahead of the play because of those lack of item spikes to try to make something happen on the mirror side of the map. And they get nothing. They get flash out of a support Galio. No other relevant cooldown. from the side of SANDBOX. Need to respect Ghost the moment he shows himself. Gonna watch the replay. Just look where Noguri is. He's nowhere. He's nowhere on the map. He has no allies on this side of the map. This is how Noguri plays, and it's why some teams have been able to engineer his downfall at different parts of the game. If Canyon's ahead, if DAMWON is setting the pace of the game, you can path like this and not be punished. But in a game like this, where it has to be about respect, not enough respect shown, even with summoners and ultimate available.
Yeah, Summit with a very cute prediction, corrosive charge there that unfortunately missed, but it didn't actually matter, was able to still pick up the kill. I was wondering why we were getting the slowdown on the just killed the Aatrox underneath the turret, but that was a very cute little play. Showmaker up here towards the top side is up to 10 stacks, basically, on the Rod of Ages. So just needs to get that Seraph's Embrace done. We'll be able to go back now and I believe complete the Archangels. Does so.
Transformation should be
very
pretty fast. I would guess around 26:30 is my thought, may even be faster. The 2-item spike will be nice, but again, no real magic resist in the build yet. Not going to count the Merc Treads.
And Dove, you can see now, completes the Merilonomicon. Very powerful 2 items here on the LeBlanc, but it's 2 items in comparison to 2-item parity, as Showmaker has picked up a lot of farm around this map, and his items are just a little bit cheaper.
That's why the next fight means so much. Infernal in 1 minute 10. I still feel like SANDBOX are in the ascendancy, fighting around it, but right now the setup is not there extensively. And DAMWON, speaking of setup, they're trying to punish in the mid lane here. Dove can't poke the minion wave.
Yeah, and Summit actually caught out very early, not able to come and defend this one, but the minion wave is going to go down. Still, massive damage to that outer turret. Imagine if Shelly had got a charge, Papa Smithy.
It's been a nice map movement. All DAMWON had previously was 3 control wards around their blue buff to try to defend around Baron side. Now they're transitioning that vision to the Infernal, hoping to fight there, but they could be flanked. Here's Summit.
Yeah, the vision bottom side is actually fantastic though, but this guy's just so damn big. Here's the hero's entrance. Hoyt the only one that's going to get knocked up, but they're happy to get any of these picks. And Nuclear can't get anything done in this team fight at all. Dove just going to solo zone him out of this whole fight. True Shot Barrage for a bit of damage, but a bit is not enough. 5,000 gold now the lead, and a big fight win for SANDBOX.
And SANDBOX just know their role. Dove knows that if Nuclear does nothing and Urgot and Galio can zone for days, well, guess what? There's not enough damage on the side of DAMWON Gaming. The scaling's not there, and they can't hit the same target. They walk up to Baron. What is Gaming going to do to stop them?
I'm not entirely sure, but this is exactly the SANDBOX game plan that we've come to know and love. Realm Warp is going to be utilized there just to get some vision as Joker comes on over with the Justice. Okay, there's the double pop, but the Rise with the Aftershock's not going to get exploded, and Canyon's even going to survive. Now is Joker trying to keep himself alive and trying to keep DAMWON out of this pit, but the Baron is available. It might just be a 50-50 as Canyon has to go into the stopwatch, and it is the Baron taken by SANDBOX. Only going to lose one, and Noguri's going to have to dive his way over. Showmaker in here as well. So there's a kickback onto the Rise, immediately taunted, but does have the stopwatch, and Canyon wants to be able to get a bit on fleek. The Triumph proc keeps him alive. Joker's going to be sacrificed. It's a double now, as the Fear Beyond Death does get the fear, but has the disdain to get himself out of the Infernal chains. There's still some Barons on a few members of SANDBOX, but this game is crazy.
And that's the fun thing, because of the cleanup there, there's still a game on our hands and a series to move from there. Very important there, the setup from SANDBOX. They try to poke out Canyon, but it's in a 1v3, and Dove gives up his life poking over, and then everything falls apart. All the dominoes from that point actually begin to turn for DAMWON Gaming. You'll understand it in the replay if we start the replay early enough. We're going to first focus on the team fight right at the start. Here's the problem. Summit comes in, the Galio ult is there, and then the moment that Dove runs at Nuclear, look at who the damage threats have access to. Nobody of relevance. Aatrox passive in a 1v3, going to be popped instantly. That is a team fight expertly played by SANDBOX, but the Baron turn here, we start a bit late to fully understand. Problem is that Dove, who's super snowballed, jumps in, dies trying to just interrupt Canyon, and then we actually just have a support Galio with taunt on cooldown, a Baron that's going down very low. This could have just been a 50-50. This is a better case than maybe SANDBOX deserved, as OnFlake's Triumph proc actually gets to the 200 health on the backside. Summit has a disengage on the ultimate there. Fear Beyond Death as a disengage tool, very rarely seen. It keeps things competitive. 5,000 gold lead, but that could have been the game decider. Now the game is still up in the air.
In one way or the other, if you had have watched OnFleek and just kept your eye on OnFleek in that fight like I just did in that replay, he played it about as perfectly as you possibly could. Gets the stopwatch out of Canyon when he was trying to kick him to kill him, and then immediately goes back to his Q that he prepared earlier, executes the Baron, and then doesn't die to Canyon over the wall, gets the kickback onto Showmaker, basically does everything. And here's the headbutt, Pov diving on forward. Nuggery's going to get big damage in here, and now Nuclear can actually fight in the team fight. Double kill for the Ezreal, who has a freshly completed Seraphs in the Archangel stuff, not yet transformed, but DAMWON, that's the fight they needed.
And both you and I unconsciously start rubbing our hands and know this game is far from over. Very good punish from DAMWON Gaming. Ghost with no flash is a victor. Very easy to close gap on. DAMWON try to push through the mid lane here. Can SANDBOX stop them? The minion wave starting to go down.
Gargoyle Stoneplate there to keep Summit alive underneath this turret and very healthy as well, but not going to be taking too much damage, and thankfully the Baroned up minions are going to be more difficult to get rid of than they otherwise would be. Ticking over to 30 minutes into this game, and as that clock gets further and further on, it becomes a better and better game for DAMWON.
This is really well played by Hoyt. His Alistair is clean, and they're able to close the gap onto Ghost. He's got no flash. He's a victor. Dies instantly. They thought they were safe, but the flanks aren't warded by the side of SANDBOX. It's actually quite brazen to walk up in that scenario with no flash on their bot lane carry. Because of that, they get punished, but there's still a couple of Baron buffs and still going to be some gold that SANDBOX can pick up on the back end. The dregs of the Baron buff. Notice the Baron buff power play, the difference in the gold earned by SANDBOX and DAMWON. It's nothing to speak of, basically, so a wash in spite of there being 1,500 gold to open up onto the members of SANDBOX Game.
DAMWON, in fact, earning 100 more gold over that period of time, being able to pick up so many of those kills, and that fight from Hoyt, absolutely fantastic. And now means after the double kill, that's basically a free Hex Drinker that Nuclear now has, and that could be pivotal in the next fight that we're going to see. DAMWON, every time they get an advantage like this, it means so much.
And there's lights out items. To me, it's a Negatron cloak for Ryze when he can fit it in. It's the Seraph's transformation, because then it's Hex Drinker, Magic Resist, and Shield, and the Overshield, because of course, shielding works like effective health if you guys are at home, so the more resists you have when you have a shield, the stronger the shield is. So it's not just 300 damage, it's 300 based on your resists worth of extra effective health. So because of that temporary health and the Hex Drinker, you're actually relatively tanky to a no Void Staff on the LeBlanc. So we're really cresting upon some very relevant gold pickups to illustrate the points we were making about DAMWON Gaming at the 35-minute mark. Look at the timer. 35 minutes is pretty soon. SANDBOX Gaming, they've made a couple of mistakes so far. They've been made to look honest by DAMWON. The game's still in the air. It's about 4,000 gold lead. No more mistakes for SANDBOX Gaming, or DAMWON Gaming could pull off a surprise victory.
Exactly, and it's getting more and more easy here for DAMWON as well. Showmaker has that Spellbinder completed. Seraph's transformation is done. Steric's Gauge now for Nuggery, as well as the stopwatch. The tools are starting to come in
and that's
for DAMWON.
But everyone has to play their vision. Control wards mean DAMWON have to defend through their red side, and SANDBOX, they control the top side jungle here of DAMWON. You need to be so respectful. You have to update. Which quadrant of the map does my team own right now? It's not a red side and a blue side jungle for both teams. Right now, it's 3/4 to the side of SANDBOX and just a red side jungle to DAMWON. Playing to your vision line here, keeping those fundamentals around your game and not losing your head with Baron about to spawn again, with the Cloud Drake on the Rift soon, is oh so important for these teams, even if there's been some good small moments for DAMWON Game.
Exactly. Now we're going to look at SANDBOX to say, have they got over what has been some difficult games against DAMWON in the past? I mean, if you look at the opposition here for SANDBOX, it doesn't look great for them. If you look at their run so far in the LCK, it certainly does. Which SANDBOX is going to come in here as Nuggery's going to get kicked back up. Looks for the damage as well, and it has to be used so early as on fleek. Now over this wall, Nuclear in the backline is relatively safe, but Hero's Entrance just wants to get rid of this Aatrox. They are going hard for this pick, but he's got so many different tools. They're not enough as the World Ender does expire, and SANDBOX get the pick off on the Aatrox.
Nuggery too brazen again. We saw him in the side lane. Now he walks up too far in the mid lane and gets turned on. We already knew the LeBlanc and Lee Sin had a huge engage range. SANDBOX coming in, and they're definitely not going to be taken down by Ryze and Alistair. They have to back away quickly, and this is such an important timing. It's as Baron spawns, and the death timer is not trivial. It's 35 seconds.
Exactly, and this Baron is definitely not going to last that long, Nuggery. That might have been the mistake that's cost them this game. As DAMWON Gaming don't want to give it away without a fight, but 4 versus 5 is not a fight that I'd want to take. As Joker in a little bit of trouble. Showmaker doing so much damage. The last Q comes in as Canyon flashes forward, doesn't get the Baron. As that one belongs to SANDBOX, but now OnFleek in trouble. Hoyt trying to tank them all up. It's a decent kickback, but Nuclear does get zoned by the Lee Sin. And Showmaker fighting Ghost isn't going to win that battle.
Not able to contest the Baron. Dove's coming in, and he wants Nuclear for dinner. Let's see if Nuclear can turn this.
Yeah, isn't going to be able to get the chain. Nuclear does a lot of damage, but not quite enough against those 2 members of SANDBOX Gaming. OnFleek looking clean on the Lee Sin, secures the Baron, and now SANDBOX have their second.
Oh, so important that you get the cleanup kills. They can push in with the Baron as well. Killing the Ezreal expediently means these death timers mean something. Not sure if they can end the game here, SANDBOX, but they might try.
Yep, certainly is close, and Nugger is not going to be the one that's going to be able to defend this.
It's going to be
very
3
easily.
members.
Summit is just so tanky as well. Didn't have to use the Gargoyle.
SANDBOX choosing between options here. Nuggery can come in. Here's Canyon.
Yep, looking for the backline there as Ghost is in a fair bit of trouble, but they're looking for the turrets. First kill to go down here for DAMWON Gaming, but World Ender going to be procced very early in this fight, and Dove going to go down. Canyon trying to leap away as Summit gets the fear beyond death, but not the fears on the members of DAMWON as OnFleek is gotten rid of. And now the Realm Warp is going to bring a few members of DAMWON Gaming to try and find Summit on the back end. Remember, this is not the Galio that we're used to seeing. And Nuclear gets a teleport that he wants this time. Hero's entrance, True Shot Barrage not going to find the target, and Hero's entrance was interrupted, meaning that Joker is going to go down. SANDBOX Gaming fighting off more than they can chew, as they have in the past.
Man, definitely a fiesta at the end. There's so many cleanup kills. We'll watch the replay to understand. This was a bit of a visual bug, so I didn't understand if actually it did arm on Canyon. He's trying to come in, yes, does get stunned up by the W from the Victor, so actually his timing is not exactly what he wants, probably half a second delayed. Not going to be able to smite away there. OnFleek on point. From there, the cleanup kills come in. You wondered if Showmaker with a bit more magic resist could have taken down Victor on the backside. With the timings, with 2 members respawning in 8 seconds and Aatrox of all people alive, I would have gone for double inhibitor, and there was that slight hesitation where they moused up and then said, wait, no, we can finish the game. The initial call was probably the correct one here, as SANDBOX do give up a bit of gold, and Galio at the end offers up his life. What he does do is keep up 1 Baron buff for SANDBOX Gaming as Summit's Baron buff doesn't go down.
Yeah, Summit able to hold on to that one, but was very close to losing the GA there as Nuclear comes in with this teleport to make sure that the Urgot doesn't get a free ride out. But respecting that True Shot, sorry, the Hero's entrance, maybe a little bit too much, meant that he's not actually able to keep up with the Urgot. Crab's able to make his way out. Now SANDBOX with a 7,000 gold lead, looking to try and once again break open the base in possibly another lane.
Nuggery keeps ganking side lanes with no vision. That's the nicest way for me to say what he's doing. Slips in and he's like, wait, that's 2 people, and they hurt. We'll back away. DAMWON just trying to delay. Baron buff is only this minion wave, maybe half of the next wave.
Nuggery's just going to dash his way over here as SANDBOX have 4 members down. Dove just trying to get that poke in as Hoyt off to the side. Flanking position available, and Ghost is on the top side of the map, teleport in hand, cleaning up some minion waves of his own. These super creeps will need to be respected, as now 5 members looking to siege. On this inner turret bottom side, no Itty carry, not necessarily a lot of range, but they've still got Baron for another 0 seconds.
Yeah, that's why I said it was only going to be half the wave as it approached, so that goes down. Let's look at the game state right now. About 7,000 gold lead here. Still a huge bounty onto Summit because he didn't go down the previous fight and kept his GA alive. We'll have Ghost to have a bit of threat. We'll walk up, and difficult for DAMWON to stop this. They don't have much wave clear when it comes to walking up and approaching the lane, and one of the few things Ezreal can't do on patch 9.2 is clear waves easily. So we back away here. SANDBOX in formation. DAMWON Gaming have hit some great item timings, but can they contest SANDBOX with a vision disadvantage? Because right now SANDBOX have been very dogged in pushing out when it's safe and then kiting back to where they have control wards and waiting for a face check.
Yeah, once again in damage control. 1.5 minutes until that Baron is back available again. 3 minutes until Elder Drake hits the Rift. It's only 1 Infernal picked up by SANDBOX, otherwise it's Clouds and Oceans. DAMWON definitely not wanting to contend with the burn damage of a 4 Drake Elder.
But through mid lane and 3rd Baron Atlas of the game. Going to be spawning. There was another Baron tune down, so Baron gets to its full power around now. Previously, a 20-minute, basically a 20-minute Baron is pretty sucky. I think it's like 12 AD, which feels laughable, but you still get, of course, the empowered minion effect, and then scales up everything around 32, 33 minutes. It starts to break even, so it's definitely going to be a full power Baron. We still haven't had an Elder, but that may not even be a consequential thing in this game, with it spawning in 2.5 minutes, a late spawn after the last Drake came in around the 33-minute mark. So we walk up here.
Well, Noguri just face checking with reckless abandon. You can see Leandro's Torment doing a lot of damage to this Aatrox, who does have a Spirit Visage. This guy is not exactly brittle.
Problem is, you got double GA on Urgot Lee Sin. GA come back off cooldown for On Fleek. So that front line is so robust, and Canyon isn't a front line, and Hoyt and Noguri, as we know, are these temporary front lines. So actually pulling off frontlining here for DAMWON is more difficult. They really want to catch, or some severe poke from the Ezreal. Right now with a vision disadvantage, that's hard to happen. Turning it into an ARAM probably suits them for now, as they can poke down with the Ezreal. The looming threat of even Joker on the sideline makes that tricky for DAMWON to pull off.
Now Hoyt looking for his engage opportunity as Joker also doing the same off to the side. Not going to get too much poke there as he just goes back in, gets a decent double talk. The rest of the team not quite there. Hoyt just going to get deleted though as SANDBOX looking to make it more. Realm Warp not going to find anyone to safety as Hero's Entrance gets the knock up they're looking for, and see you later, Showmaker. You're in the death chamber now as Nuclear trying to get his way out. They do get the GA of On Fleek, who's a little further forward than he wants to be, but that has given them enough space to go for this next Baron. And with the man advantage, they should be able to secure it pretty easily.
SANDBOX just playing to their draft so intelligently because of all the controllers, because of the vision control they have around the Baron. They're just able to wait for a mistake from DAMWON. Someone is always going to split off. Either the Alistar or the Aatrox is going to open for an engage, and in that time, you just turn on that one member. It doesn't matter if you have the Alistar ult. One man can be burned down fast enough by the burst damage that SANDBOX have, and Alistar turned into Putty very, very quickly, or Patties, I guess, would be the more appropriate thing for a cow. And given that, they get the Baron, third Baron of the game, and with that Baron, they could look for the end here. Showmaker, 10 seconds to respawn.
Finally, a 10,000 gold lead here for SANDBOX Gaming, as well as they're taking down inhibitors, inhibitor turrets, and everything that's in DAMWON space. Remember, only one Nexus turret does remain for DAMWON, and they've been given a long leash. A lot of opportunities for DAMWON to get back into this game, but the team fights have just been so good when they've worked for SANDBOX. They've always got the Barons. They've always picked up what they need to. Noguri going to be knocked back into the team yet again, but does have a lot of ways of staying alive. Not going to live for as long as he wanted to, though, and that's On Fleek getting rid of him. Summit gets the Fears as well as Nuclear. That is not going to be enough shield from that Seraph's Embrace as he gets onto this fountain. But that's the only place that's safe for the Ezreals. The Nexus is going to be taken down, and SANDBOX will take game number 1 against DAMWON Gaming.
Really interesting game number 1. A lot of feeling out between two pretty evenly matched teams. I think overall SANDBOX deserved the victory. They were very smart around objectives. They made some mistakes. The attempt to end there was a bit foolhardy, but overall, they understood their win conditions. It's a tricky to execute draft. Not everyone can play awesome dudes in the late game without a stained ranged carry to put out reliable damage and actually pull it off. But because of their smart vision control, it never felt like Victor was going to fall off in damage to the Ezreal. There was never actually attack speed and crit being wielded to take down their draft. In the end, very smart play, and we have our questions about some of the decisions from DAMWON Gaming. We already highlighted Noguri and his overextensions again and again, but even just items, even just the decision for Ryze to go for, I guess, a burst build, because he had no magic resist in the build other than Merc Treads, and it felt like backline Ryze just kind of waited for an opportunity, but awkwardly, Ezreal was also waiting for an opportunity, and then Urgot and everyone else powering through the front line, and then you're like, okay, let's wait them out. As that happens, your front line dies, and as you know, as an AD carry, anyone who's played AD carry knows, your damage is usually the sum of how much your tank line stays alive for you to actually have space to do damage. There was never really space for Ryze or Ezreal to do damage, and then the bulldozer that was SANDBOX Gaming's draft just was too clean and too reliable, and 3 Barons later, well-deserved victory.
Yeah, the way they turned their composition into a pick comp at exactly the right times in the late game, I thought was extraordinarily impressive. But DAMWON had constructed a composition that on paper works very, very well. You got Hoyt in that front line if he can get those engages that we actually saw a couple of. the things work out much better than they did. However, SANDBOX's ability to just make a call, go for it, commit to it, and then win was so effective in that game that the opportunities weren't there for DAMWON.
Because the problem is there was never really a front line for DAMWON. There was one person either picked or trying something and then turned on and killed. So there was never actually the ability to fight behind a front line. There was a frontliner dying and a backliner getting dove, and there just was no in between. So unfortunately, 30,000 plus damage just couldn't be wielded. And the gold graph here is actually a bit more extended than we're used to, but it still does show that SANDBOX were largely in the ascendancy, never really ran away with the game. There was some palpitations, but never just decided the game expediently. These are 5-minute gaps rather than 3 or 2 minutes in other graphs, but overall SANDBOX just able to team fight better and thus deserving victors.
And as you can see, 3 Barons picked up this game as well by SANDBOX, and being able to fit 3 Barons into a game that only went about 40 minutes, I guess, so they were taking them from about 25 minutes onwards.
Don't say only went 40 minutes, because we're getting back to 8.1 territory when we have words like that. Short game, 40 minutes.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying 3 Barons in that time is, that's a lot of Barons when it does enter the Rift at 20 minutes in. And it just shows that SANDBOX, they are not afraid to pull the trigger. And let me tell you, after my Sunday, I'm very excited to see a team that can pull the trigger. But they're going to have to do it again if they're going to win this series. A short break, guys, and we'll see if they can take game 2.